This is for Algebra 2, and it's dealing with complex numbers. This is day 1. Complex numbers is when you're dealing with radicals, which would be a square root, with a negative. Because remember, we can't take the square root of a negative number. Because anytime you square a number, you get a positive. So we are introducing with our complex numbers the imaginary number. And the imaginary number is I, and I is equal to the square root of negative 1. I squared is equal to negative 1. You reduce the radical the same way that we always have. You pull out an I if there's a negative sign under the radical. Quick reminder of how we reduce a radical. If we had the square root of 12, we would want to factor tree that. 2 times 6, 6 breaks down to 2 times 3. You have to pair something up to pull it out. It takes 2, so the two 2's come out. When you pair them up, you pull it out just once. Square root of 3 is what was lonesome. It stays under there. You could take the square root of 18. So that would be like 2 times 9, 3 times 3. Your 3's pair up, and so you have 3 square root of 2. So that's just kind of a reminder, refresher of how you square or take the square root of a number. So when you look at this one, we have the square root of negative 25. Well, we know that the square root of 25 is 5, but since it has that negative, you got to pull that out and put an I. So it's plus or minus 5i. Because 5 squared is 25, and negative 5 squared is all. So here we have the square root of negative 27. So we want to factor tree it because it's not a perfect square. That would be like 3 times 9, and the 9 breaks down to 3 and 3. You pair it up, it takes 2 to come out. That I has to come out also. So 3 and I come out. Go find what's lonesome. The 3 is lonesome. It stays under there. There's your solution. This is a complex number because it has that I in there. Taking 4 square root of negative 18, factor tree your 18. 2 times 9, 3 times 3. You're going to pair up your 3's, and you're also going to pull out your negative. What you have to be aware of is there's already a 4 outside. So there was a 4 outside times you're pulling a 3 and an I out also. And then the 2 is lonesome, so it stays inside. You got to actually multiply those. 4 times 3i, 12i, square root of 2 is your final answer. Okay, a fraction, no big deal. It works the same. You just break it into 2 parts. Square root of negative 81 over square root of 4. 81 is a perfect square. So the square root of 81 is 9. It was a negative under there, so you got to pull that I out. Over square root of 4 is 2. Going to break this one down. It becomes the square root of negative 12 over the square root of 5. You want to factor tree that 12. So we have 2 and 6, 2 and 3. So your 2's pair up. So this becomes 2i, because of that negative, square root of 3, over square root of 5. It's not legal to have square root in the bottom. The way you fix that is you multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 5. The square root of 5 is causing the problem, so that's what we multiply by. So on the top, it becomes 2i square root of 15 over square root of 5 times square root of 5 would be the square root of 25, which we know is 5. Just a little thing to remember, anytime you multiply the square root of something by itself, you just lose the square root and it becomes that number. Okay, these are much easier. When you have parentheses, you're going to distribute what's in front. So you're going to distribute your 2, you're going to distribute your negative 5. So 8 minus 6i plus 30, because negative 5 times negative 6, minus 10i. You need to combine your like terms. So 8 plus 30 gives you 38. Negative 6i minus 10i is minus 16i. This is it. You can't combine those because one has an I and one doesn't. Similar, except we're going to have to factor tree first. This 20 comes down to 2 and 10, 2 and 5. Bring your 3 plus We're going to pair up a 2, and we're going to pull out the negative. So 2i square root of 5 minus 6 plus, we've got to pull out that I, 3i square root of 5. Like terms, 3 minus 6 is negative 3. Like terms, 2i square root of 5 plus 3i square root of 5. Add what's on the outside, 2i plus 3i plus 5i square root of 5. When you're going to solve one of these, you want to get x squared by itself. So we're going to move that 18. X squared is equal to negative 18. To unsquare it, you're going to square root both sides. So x is equal to plus or minus, factor tree it. 2 times 9, 3 and 3. Pull out a 3 and a negative, so plus or minus 3i square root of 2. 3x squared plus 30, move that 30. 3x squared is equal to negative 30, divided by 3. X squared is equal to negative 10. Going to have to unsquare both sides, so square root them. X is equal to plus or minus, factor tree 10, and you get 2 and 5. Nothing pairs up, so it's I square root of 10. Make sure and pull that I out, though. Okay, that's complex numbers day 1. Come see me during speed if you have any questions.